Welcome to the Men Are Forged podcast. This is the place where we help young professional men build for lasting success and a meaningful life. I'm your host, Cartwright Morris. For more information on Men Are Forged, go to menareforged.com. That's menareforged.com. Thanks for listening. Before we get started, if you're a young professional male looking for guidance and direction in your career and life, please look me up at menareforged.com or calvertandassociates.com and schedule an appointment with me today. Well, welcome. I'm excited today to give my first recap of the Jack Gibson interview. Jack Gibson's website is myindestructiblewealth.com. He's creating a great brand of just helping people build wealth. You could just tell early in the interview, I was really shocked to hear that he was only 43. Not by the way he looked. He looked like he was, definitely in his early 40s. But I would say the way he talked, his tone, his temperament, like he's just done it. His experience just was so evident early on that this content is so embedded in him and how he's made his choices. And it was just really refreshing to be around because I could just pick his brain all day. That was one thing I got done. I'm like, golly, I could have talked to him for another hour. Because there's just so much like of his thinking that I want. That's what's fun about this platform is getting to talk with people or even just in general podcasts, just to hear people that think differently from you and they see things a different way. And then, like you receive something when you talk to them. So yeah, it was, early on, I was really interested in his story and how he gets started. And he seems like it's funny, like within even the first, 3 to 12 minutes, hearing his story, how he had adjusted even his little ways of looking at wealth. I mean, early on, he said he had a rich dad, poor dad story, about an uncle who you would never thought, when he died, he left $3 or $4 million. That was at minute, it was at 350. He said, you can't take it with you. That at the end of the day, we make money to enjoy it. But then, of course, he goes into the balance. I immediately asked, what's the balance of that then? We're not going to spend money we don't have, but we also, we need to enjoy. We need to save at times, but we need to spend at times. He kind of went into his... eventually he gets into actually the ability to be smart when you've done the right things along the way, and that's when he gets into his stages, is you should easily be able to make big swings when you need to, that actually make the big play, whether that is in business or spending like on a trip or to actually enjoy the money. So, but then he gets into, so his first, he kind of talked about in college. He got into like in minute 9 to 12 was really his kind of first big failure, the .com bust. I think is what they called it, around 2000. The .com bubble, that's what it was. Sorry, forgive me, my terms. But the .com bubble around 2000, he had put half of what he made of really early on in his 20s trying to build, and he put half of it in the stock market, and the stock market crashed, and he lost half of his money. And he just kind of learned through that failure the balance of figuring out, putting, really trying to find assets that continue to make money despite the stock market, despite what the economy is doing. You can still have an asset that makes money, and that's where he kind of gets into real estate eventually, which is an interesting piece. I think that was some of the feedback I got from the episode. So they're asking me so when are you gonna buy real estate? But it's really interesting, just kind of his two big failures. He kind of learning to, once he, had the failure in the stock market, he then overcorrected and didn't get in the stock market. And when the stock market started going out and he started seeing people who were not as smart as he was with money do well in the stock market, he kind of was like, wait, I've been studying, following these things. I just hadn't been willing to make the moves. And that's kind of when he gets into the big swing stuff that I thought was really good. That was in, kind of right before he got to stages. And then, around minute 12, he hits on that. And so that's what's really in I think a lesson for anyone in that is when sometimes we can make a mistake and overcorrect, and then sometimes we kind of come and go in life and it recorrects us to find the balance in between, right? Anyway, so by minute 14 and 20 seconds in, that's when he starts his 5 stages. And the big one is, I think, anybody should know, is learning to invest in yourself. And he kind of talks about being financially tired, but being work retired. Hold on, how did he phrase that? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think in my mind. Oh yeah, he's never really work retired, but he's financially retired, but he'll never be work retired. That's the phrasing he used, which I thought was really cool. And that's when you always have a side hustle. He even said, like, even if you have this a good paying job for your most of your life, that it's still going to be hard to retire on that alone because of taxes. And really, we all need to kind of develop that side hustle. And really, that's when when he starts building the 5 stages, he gets to a point really by minute 24 that I just lit up and wish I knew sooner in my life, is the idea of your earning potential. How do we develop our mindset that we all have an earning potential? That when we have a skill, a passion, a desire to help people, that not only helps people, that brings value to others, but actually gives earnings, income to us, and that it's not dependent on a 9-to-5 job. It's not dependent on a certain college degree or a certain position at a company or a church or at a any type of organization, right? That we don't, for the longest time, we thought this lane of success. I know I did. It hammered in that I had to have this type of job, had this type of income, for this was the narrow lane of success. And really, that when we just start discovering our earning potential in other avenues outside of the normal form of work, that we can start really developing that earning potential. And there's so many avenues, especially with the internet, especially with social media and free marketing and branding and all sorts of different programs that are out there today, that you really can do so much. But yeah, with my recap, probably the last thing I would say that I just really kind of was unique for him, for someone who's so successful. He had already sold 2 different he's 43. He's only 43, guys. He's 7 years older than me. And he said he had already sold 2 companies for millions of dollars, and he's basically developing his third. And it was so nonchalant how he said, yeah, I just expect to start making $100 grand a month. I mean, literally just on his brand. He said, that's a foregone conclusion to him. He's like, I've done it before, and I can do it again. And that's something, I think, a lesson we could take all to heart of, if I've done it before, I can do it again. I have the history, the sweat equity in something to do it again. But yeah, even just the mindset that we can really start developing, he talked about that early on. No, that was kind of probably about halfway, probably around the earning potential of actually, yeah, that was around minute 24 when he was kind of hitting on, you can trick your mind, but really you're injecting hope in your brain. You're reshaping your brain to be more of a growth mindset of, if I'm making 1,000, then I need to start believing, I can make 5,000 a month or 10 or 20, that it's like a real thing, that your brain starts believing that kind of stuff. And then you start really having action behind it, and you actually start doing the work to really do that. That part was huge. But then really when you get to the end and he hits on stage 5, go through all his stages, which I recommend checking those out. And also getting on his website, myindestructiblewealth.com. The stage 5 really hits on the humility, and that's really what I was getting to when I'm talking about all his success. That there's still at the end of the day, the stage 5 is do it all again. Too many times we go through the steps, the stages, and think, oh, now I've made it, now I've got it. Now, give me what I'm owed. Give me what I'm deserved. But really, stage 5 is the humility to say, no, I should do this all again. I should invest back in myself. I should find assets that bring income, continual income that really help me and my family and also provide a service for somebody else. So anyway, I highly recommend checking this out. It's a great interview. It was, like I said, it was easy. He was easy to talk to. The only thing I wish I did better, or at least ask him more about, was the education piece. It's like, how do we educate people better and really see beyond just the college degree and educate people the ability that they have to earn money outside of the normal. So appreciate you listening. Please leave comments. Please contact me at Mentor Forge on Instagram or Facebook, or just email me. Thanks for listening. That's all we've got for this episode of the Mentor Forge podcast. One thing that would really help me and other potential listeners is to rate this show and leave a comment on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Make sure to link up with me at mentorforge.com. Follow me on any social media, Facebook, Instagram, or even LinkedIn, and share as much as you can of this podcast with anyone who might enjoy it or would receive from it. Thank you. See you next time.